Friends, it's a pleasure to welcome you back to our recap channel, Cool of Movie Recaps. Today, we bring you a cinematic gem that transports us to a world full of strength and determination. We'll tell you the fascinating summary of Dragon: The Bruce Lee Story, an American biographical film that hit our screens in 1993. It all begins with little Bruce Lee, a young Chinese boy who passionately devotes himself to martial arts from his earliest childhood. Over the years, Bruce grows into an adult. Amidst a bustling party, Bruce showcases his mastery of kung fu by intervening in an unjust situation, defending a woman from some unwelcome Americans. With skill and elegance, he defeats the intruders, leaving them in a state of humiliation. Later, young Lee returns home to his father, carrying with him the victory and an indelible lesson. His father sternly reprimands him upon learning that he's being sought by the police due to his confrontation with the nephew of an influential American official. At that moment, his father confides in him an unsettling premonition about a demon seeking his life. Additionally, he reveals a long-held secret. Bruce Lee is actually American, as he was born in that country. Following his father's advice and with a suitcase in hand, he sets off for the United States. Once on American soil, the protagonist finds employment as a dishwasher in a bustling restaurant, dedicating his free time to perfecting his martial art. However, an innocent flirtation with a coworker lands him in a dangerous predicament with the hot-tempered chef of the place, leading him to face a threatening situation with knives at stake. Nevertheless, the owner of the establishment, inspired by Lee's innate potential, makes a courageous decision. She offers him a generous sum of money to invest in his education, thus preventing him from being trapped in the monotonous job of washing dishes forever. Once inside the institution, Lee faces a greater challenge: racial prejudices due to his ancestry. But with unwavering confidence, he challenges the biggest student to a fight where his skill impresses everyone. Despite attempts by the opponent's friends to intervene, Lee demonstrates his determination to overcome any obstacle in his path. After the fight in the ring, two friends of the American approach our protagonist. Instead of continuing the conflict, they ask the protagonist to teach them how to fight. Thus, Lee starts a small academy on campus. During this new stage, he meets Linda, a young woman interested in learning martial arts who joins his academy. As the days passed, Linda and Lee grew closer, enjoying dates together. However, during one of these outings while watching a movie at the cinema, Linda notices that stereotypes about Asians in America bother Lee. Sensing his discomfort, Linda decides to support our protagonist, and they leave the place. Over time, Linda and Lee buy a property together, and it's Linda who suggests opening an academy. Lee deeply appreciates her support. As the years go by, the academy becomes a popular place, and Bruce Lee becomes a well-known and respected figure for his commitment to martial arts and overcoming stereotypes. But one night, in their quiet home, a strange wind torments our protagonist, followed by the materialization of a strange figure that appears to be the demon his father had warned him about. However, at dawn, Lee begins to doubt his sanity, believing it was all a product of his imagination. The next morning, our protagonist feels moody, especially because Linda has not yet revealed their relationship to her mother, despite their plans to marry soon. That same day, Linda's mother arrives for a visit and shows disapproval towards Lee. Additionally, she brings up the topic of the couple's future children, concerned about their mixed race and acceptance in society, which angers Lee. Anger consumes Lee to the point of deciding to leave immediately, but he returns for Linda, who chooses to be with him despite her mother's disapproval. Over time, they meet a man of color named Sharon, who had been rejected by other Chinese masters due to his race. Lee immediately welcomes him as his apprentice. Thus, Lee's school becomes a place where skin color doesn't matter, where only discipline and the desire for self-improvement are valued. One day, our protagonist receives a letter from a child accusing him of breaking the martial arts code by teaching its secrets to non-Asians. He decides to meet with the authors of the letter to clarify the situation. Despite his attempts to resolve things, the elders threaten him to settle the dispute through combat. He is forced to face a man named Johnny, known to be a true master in the art of fighting. Despite the challenges, our protagonist manages to take control of the fight and forces Johnny to surrender, thus winning the right to share his martial arts knowledge with whomever he wishes. But in a desperate last attempt, Johnny attacks Lee after the confrontation has ended, causing him a severe injury to his back. This leads Lee to the hospital in a state of burning anger. Amidst his fury, Lee utters hurtful words towards Linda, asking her to leave him alone and ending the relationship. However, Linda refuses to abandon him and provides support, convinced that he will recover. And then, she reveals the exciting news that she is pregnant. Motivated by the prospect of fatherhood and with Linda's support, Lee strives in his rehabilitation. 8 months later, he can move in a wheelchair and visits his little baby. Seeing his daughter, he finds the strength to stand up and carry her. Days later, Linda's mother falls in love with the girl, despite cultural differences. Years later, our protagonist finds himself in a debate about martial arts, where he presents his own style, which he considers more effective than the ancient techniques. The audience doesn't share his view and challenges him to prove it in a fight. He accepts the challenge, and surprisingly, the opponent who steps up is Johnny, who claims to have beaten him before and believes he can do it again. Despite Linda's pleas for him not to fight, Lee decides to do so, ignoring the doctor's warnings. Concerned for her husband, Linda chooses to leave before witnessing another injury. Amidst the fight, Johnny attacks Lee's back, his weak point, but Lee responds with fury and defeats him with a powerful kick to the torso. Everyone in the place begins to chant his name in admiration, proving his point about martial arts. At that moment, the talented actor Talent approaches the protagonist and offers him a role in a new TV series, The Green Hornet. The protagonist embraces acting, leaving behind the dangerous real battles, and takes on the role of Kato, the Green Hornet's right-hand man. Despite his success in The Green Hornet, Bruce Lee longs to be a leading star and pitches his idea for a kung fu movie, which the director loves. Bruce Lee enjoys a luxurious life with expensive cars and exclusive places, living the American dream. Linda gives him the news of their second child, filling their lives with joy. But happiness fades when the series is canceled. Economic problems begin to arise as he has no work, and his kung fu movie project has not materialized. Amidst challenging times, Bruce Lee receives the sad news of his father's passing, which takes him back to China for the funeral. There, he has visions of the demon once again and consults his old master, who reveals that the demon represents his own fears. Back in America, Bruce meets Philip, a producer interested in making a movie with him. Despite some challenges, Bruce decides to shoot the film. On the last day of filming, he is surprised by Johnny's younger brother, who accuses him of bringing disgrace to their family, and they begin to fight on set. They have an intense battle, and Bruce, despite defeating his opponent, gets carried away by anger and severely injures him. Filled with shame, he destroys the recording of the fight, despite how spectacular it would have been on the big screen. After the success of the movie, our protagonist returns home, greeted by his loving family. The film is released, and although initially the audience doesn't seem surprised, soon everyone happily applauds having a movie that represents them with honor. However, Bruce's constant work keeps him away from his family, and Linda plans to move to America with the children. Bruce is initially angry, but Linda presents him with a proposal from Warner Bros. Finally, Bruce decides to work with the Americans and promises that his family won't have to worry about anything in America. During the filming of the movie, a strong earthquake traps Bruce Lee on set. In the midst of the crisis, he has a final confrontation with the demon that tormented him. The demon is about to kill him, but at that moment, his son appears, and the demon changes targets. Filled with determination, Bruce Lee confronts the demon and defeats it once and for all. Immediately, Bruce Lee returns to reality and leaves the set to reunite with his children, realizing that his family is more important than any work or fame. Thus concludes this story of challenges and overcoming, where Bruce Lee finds true wealth in his family and love for them.